This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.
I'm joined now by local writer Daniel Cromer. Daniel is seeking public assistance to get his first fantasy fiction novel published. There's a boosted campaign underway around that. We thought we'd find out a little bit more about the project with Daniel now. He joins us in the studio. Kia ora, Daniel. Nice to have you with us. Thanks for coming in bright and early.
Yeah, good morning. Pleasure to be here.
Now, we'll find out a little bit more about this project in a moment, but let's find out a little bit more about you and where your writing comes from. I guess it starts with reading, right? Are you someone who's, if we'd sort of looked at the 9-year-old version of Daniel, there'd be some big, thick fantasy fiction novels there?
Definitely going up through my childhood. I think Roald Dahl was definitely like the kind of books that I'd like devoured like voraciously. But going up through high school, I also read a whole bunch of Redwall by Brian Jacques. I think I would probably go through about one of those, maybe two of those like every year up at high school. Lord of the Rings definitely influenced me as well. And right now I'm like making more steps to like read more and more books as well. Since if you want to write a lot, you got to read a lot as well. So like it's sort of good practice there.
And when did you first start developing your own talent for writing?
The idea for what I've written now sort of cropped up back in 2018, like the faint start of an idea. But it was only until about 2019 that I actually like sat down and started giving it a go. Because that was like my first ever crack at any like large writing project at all. So it was a very like new process for me. So I kind of knew going in that like that first draft was really going to be terrible, as Ernest Hemingway puts it. But I knew that like if I kept, the passion was definitely there. So I knew everything else would fall into place.
You've maintained an interest in the arts, haven't you, through high school? You're involved in musicals and so forth, acting.
Yeah.
So there is something about you that wants to be connected with the creative fields, right?
Absolutely. No, I think I did pretty much every single musical in high school except like one. But that was, of course, when I was like also doing gang show and I'd like taken a cultural trip to China as well. So like that was definitely where like a lot of my musical theatre acting roots came in, where I became like a lifelong theatre kid. And then of course like I've done a whole bunch of like stuff up at the Globe Theatre as well, pretty much straight out of high school. That's pretty much where my local theatre presence started taking hold.
And those kind of things are connected, aren't they? Those being transported into another world for a moment.
Oh, absolutely. Like, or even just in the process of like when you're taking on a role in the play, or really what any kind of show, it's sort of just a whole separate thing that you sort of kind of like when you're even just meditating or you're just like taking time for yourself. It's taking that moment to sort of just detach yourself from what's going on in the outside world and just dedicating your time, your energy and your focus into what's happening, or getting into a character or being a part of that whole world. It's sort of just, you have like tunnel vision, essentially. And that happens when you're immersed in a good book too, doesn't it? Oh God, yeah, absolutely. I think with some of the very best ones, you can. I think a lot of people are more voracious readers than I am. I can sometimes be a bit of a slow reader, but I think a lot of people always tell me that is the joy of it. Sometimes if you get like really sucked in, you could probably go through about 2 or 3 chapters at a time, and that can like really take you away someplace else. Like whenever my dad looks over my writing, he always comments about how he always feels like he's actually there by how well that I've written it. So it's always very nice to hear. Exactly what you're looking for, isn't it? Yeah.
You spent a year at Walt Disney World in Florida.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
That's definitely one of the highlights of my life, and that was actually exactly the sort of genesis for the idea of the book. There was nothing really that directly inspired the book per se, but it was definitely a place to be inspired. So I was working at the Art of Animation Resort, which is one of the places where like all of the the guests go to during the evenings when they're like staying for a holiday and they come away from the park. So I worked in the food and beverage like restaurant area, and you get to meet all sorts of people. The people that you interact with, your co-workers, the people you meet from all over the world. It could be like from Mexico or any parts in the States, or on a couple of occasions I did encounter a few Kiwis as well, which is really nice. But visiting each one of those 4 parks, that's really just unforgettable. And I made sure to take plenty of pictures as well.
And what was it about that experience, do you think, that helped trigger this writing for you?
I think it definitely tapped into that feeling of like storytelling, or how just humans are just storytelling creatures by nature. Just that desire to learn more about ourselves and to express ourselves and find really amazing lessons, or sort of like figuring out the beauty of life, or just sort of even just a story to help people get through the day, or, inspire more people like myself. So taking those bus trips back and forth from work, because I also like draw a bunch, and then I just, I was just surrounded by so many wonderful things that sparked the imagination that I had like a daydream, and I thought, okay, why don't I just hang on to this for a little bit? Then I started doing a bunch of drawings, then I filled up a notebook with a bunch of notes, and after about a couple of months, I had something that was, and I thought, okay, this seems like something that's worth pursuing all of a sudden.
All right, so let's delve into this project, this novel. Set the scene for us. What can you tell us about where this is set and where the storyline begins? Yes,
so it's a whole other secondary world of my own creation. Where it is set, it's set between two different realms or different countries. So our 2 main characters, Marcus and Teresa, they're 2 step siblings, and magic is very, very ubiquitous throughout this world. It's pretty much everywhere. Anyone can pick it up and practice it like a muscle to be exercised. And there's a certain point in everybody's life where somebody experiences their kindling, where they tap into their magic and where they're finally able to start using it. It's very analogous to like puberty. It's a very like coming of age sort of story and a phenomenon. Marcus in particular is sort of a late bloomer. He hasn't really had his kindling yet, but he really, really wants to become a spellcaster or a sorcerer like his late father used to be, because his late father was like legendary in that scene. So he has really, really strong ambitions to go to this magnificent magical academy, the next realm over, and he wants to go there and fulfill his dreams. His sister, on the other hand, is very, very overprotective, and she's already gone through a lot of grief anyway, so she's very, very overprotective of her brother. And while this story is progressing, they cross paths with this mercenary criminal fugitive on the run who's just walked out of the aftermath of a heist that's gone very, very badly, and he's sort of on the run now, and they sort of bump heads, and then they need to like work together.
You've rehearsed that very well. That's put me right there, Daniel.
You know what's actually crazy? I that came right off the cuff. All this improvisation class has paid off.
With fantasy fiction, we often find around it, a different form of language, for example, or there's enough about it that is different from our earthly experience that we kind of have to spend a bit of time immersing ourselves in it before we adopt the language and understand it. Is this that type of writing? I think
the difficult thing, it's a difficult thing to maintain a balance of easing somebody into this whole other separate universe, but at the same time you don't want to like give your reader like homework. You don't want to put like a whole bunch of exposition information at the front end. I think if you do that, it puts your reader off very quickly. So the best thing you can do is that technique of in medias res, like in the middle of things. It's a common rule of writing where you sort of just start right in the middle of the story and you just start off with what's immediately interesting or what's relevant to the story. If you just focus on telling the story properly and then you introduce little bits and pieces of the world in there, that's definitely the easier way to go, because you don't want to give your reader homework, but you just want to hold them by the hand and gently lead them into what you've got going on, and then you sort of just let them go. You let them go on their own journey.
What stage is this manuscript at?
It is pretty much complete, and it's ready to go now. It's ready to be handed off to my editor, who's going to copy edit and look over the whole thing, and it's pretty much ready for print. It's in the chamber.
So who is your editor? Who are you working with on this?
She is from, because I'm working with the self-publishing house, the Copy Press down in Nelson, and they put me in contact with, I might pronounce her last name wrong, Stephanie McConchie. She is one of the editors that she works with there. And you know, we all got together and start putting together estimates. But she is my potential editor to look over that. So she and I had a bit of back and forth. She's excited to hear about the campaign that I finally managed to put something together. But no, that is her name, and she's going to work on that.
And how is it working with external set of eyes on your work? One imagines that, especially at the beginning of for a first big project, it belongs so much to you.
Yeah.
And that enlisting the trust of someone else, must be a step to take.
It can be very difficult because, it's like it's your baby, and it's very, I think it depends on how well you're capable of taking criticism, or how well the other person is good at giving constructive criticism. I don't particularly mind, because I have taken online writing courses a few years ago as well. So I've been given feedback on the writing I can do, and it's been a process of that I have been getting better and better. And at this point now, I probably wouldn't mind if I did get feedback, because the book itself, I had written it while I was also trying to not be a bad writer. So any criticism, I think, probably wouldn't bother me too much. I think now, once I start writing the second novel, it'll be a lot faster and more efficient, because I'm not only good at what I do, but I can do it better. So whatever feedback she could give me, I really wouldn't mind, because it would just mean that it leads to a better product finally.
So what is the working title for this work?
It is called, the intention is for it to be a series. It's called The Starlight Symphony, but this first book we're talking about now is called The Kindling.
So you've answered my next question. It's often the way, isn't it, in the world of fantasy fiction, that these are large, sprawling, intergenerational stories, and you see it that way. Yeah, absolutely. There's plans for there to be more sequels, but at the same time, because I've been going through a big life change, hopping over into university and everything. So priorities have shifted. So sometimes it's difficult to balance that and your creative work without sort of burning yourself out. Because there was that initial pressure of I need to get this book done by this specific age or that age. Just this arbitrary thing that I had placed upon myself that I shouldn't have. It's you can't, I'm not Atlas. I can't carry the world. As long as I make sure that I don't burn myself out and snuff out that creative spark while life is going on. It's a delicate balance. Yeah. And so, a huge amount of work. About 4 years, you reckon, on this?
Yeah, if you were to crunch all of it down, because life will also happen, and it's something that I've had on the side. But if you were to crunch all of the time together, the year that I wrote the first draft, which will never see the light of day, and maybe another year where I did the first or second, you're probably thinking about maybe 3 or 4 odd years, and that's also including me planning and plotting what the next couple of books are going to be like. So it's about the estimate.
And so we absolutely have to get this over the line, given the amount you've invested in it.
Yeah,
already.
it's sort of you almost don't want it to be like a sunken cost fallacy, because it's like I've already, the dream is starting to become too real, which is very satisfying to me because, I've put in the effort to make it happen. So it's coming around.
So how can we help?
Yes, you can head on to boosted.org.nz. I think it's the only... because it's a subset of the Arts Foundation. I think it's the only literature campaign going on there right now. So if you go under the literature chat tag, you'll find it pretty quickly. It's just the Starlight Symphony Book 1. So you can find the campaign there. You can also follow me on Instagram, which is just DB Chroma, and that's where I'll do some of my drawings, because I also draw a lot, especially stuff regarding the world and the story and everything. And I tend to do a lot of updates there as well as the Facebook account tied to that. But yeah, the website itself, boosted.org.nz, the Starlight Symphony Book 1, that's where you can find it.
This will be a significant target for you financially to get what I imagine is quite a large book published. Yeah,
it's because the copy press and I had agreed, because the biggest that the book ever got at one point was about 200,000 words, and they called me up one day at work and they're like, yeah, that might be a little too much for a debut novel. Are you able to trim the fat a little? And I'm like, fair enough, I'll see what I can do. And I actually got it down to about 180,000 words, and I think the book is actually better for that, because sometimes tightening it actually makes it better. And they said, okay, how about, could you possibly split it into a trilogy? And I thought, that's excessive if I want to make this a series. And I'm like, okay, how about just two volumes? And they're like, done. So that's going to be the deal right now. This book in particular is going to be serialized in 2 separate volumes. So, and even then, it's a big boy. It's a big book.
Final question for you. Who's your reader here, do you think?
Me and people like me. I think, especially considering some difficult troubles that I'm going through recently, it's almost as if my younger self is writing for me now. It's almost poetic in a way, and I also write because it's a very big, bright, powerful story that's very hopeful and really showcases the best of humanity, or just really beautiful high escapism, high adventure, just with stories filled of bravery and goodness and friendship and all good things that are the good side of humanity. And I think, with the way things are going right now in the world, I think we need more stories like that to lift us up.
Just one more time, remind us where we can find this Boosted campaign.
Yes, you can head on to boosted, just boosted all lowercase .org.nz. It's big, bright red branding under the Arts Foundation. Boosted.org.nz, Starlight Symphony, Book 1 by Daniel Cromer.
Daniel, thanks so much for taking some time to join us here on OAR FM. All the best with your project.
Thank you for having me. Cheers.
This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.